Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher all one word. I hope you've had a great week since we last talked. I have felt like I've actually accomplished some knitting stuff this week, and I've got some stuff spread out all in front of me that I am so excited to show you and talk about because it's an upcoming project that actually has me really excited about the possibilities, and I can't wait to show it to you and get your advice on colors and stuff like that. So let's jump right into it. My tea's still way too hot to drink, I think, but yeah, you can see it steaming, but hopefully it'll cool off soon. Anyways, let me show you first project. This is in a Knit Gizmo Makes bag. And in here I have my socks for my daughter. And I'm loving this goal that I set this year of having a finished sock every Sunday. And I think I'm going to try, like I said, to reach actually 30 pairs of socks done so that if I go to a festival or a retreat, bring socks that are just like the cuff is left or the toe part is, or the foot part is left, and so I can just work on that and get even more socks done this year. But these are actually a lot bigger than you would think of for 4-year-old kid socks, so they kind of do count more, as because somebody wrote to me saying that, you know, kid socks shouldn't count towards my pair thing because they're too tiny, but these are pretty big. So these are for my daughter, and they are tube socks, and I really wanted socks that could kind of grow with her because I want her to be able to wear these until they wear out and not just have them for a little while and not be able to keep, have them wear out on her. So they actually go up to her knee right now. And I did something that I thought would help kind of increase the longevity of them wearing and fitting her well. So I put on the bottom, it's a cat boardy way of doing a gusset, and it's the riverbed, I believe it's a riverbed gusset. And so it's a special way of increasing to where normally if you're doing on a full adult sock, it gives you kind of a V because you do a bunch of increases. And I do this on all my Fish Lips Kiss heel socks as well to kind of give it a gusset. But I did just a smaller one which added 4 stitches. And right now that 4 stitches is added around the back of her heel, but as she grows it'll become to where it's more towards the front, but I think it will still help it fit over that thing, over her, kind of the arch of her foot. But it fits in my hand, so it's not a small sock. So that's the first one. And this yarn is Knit Picks Felici in their candy jar colorway. I let her pick this out since she had, like I told you guys last week, a rough week. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that commented with sweet words about my daughter, because I read them all off to her, and she just, it made her smile a lot. And a lot of my friends wrote, and they were like, give her a hug. And so she got lots of hugs and lots of love poured into her, because it was still a rough week. There was a point where she was trying to get this friend to talk to her and say hi, but the friend wouldn't acknowledge that she was there. So she was still kind of sad about it this week. But this is the second one. I've started it. This is left of the ball. I'm going to try to get 2 tube socks in one. And so I have 4 colors done, and I started on the 5th, the green. I really love this kind of cream with this baby blue and the pink together. So I might, I don't know, try to find some sock yarn like with those 3 colors for me. But those are her tube socks. And I really like to get them done. I was thinking I would try to get them done this week so that she could wear them right away. But I'm definitely going to try to get them done by the end of January. I have 3 projects that I want to focus on and kind of get them done so I don't have so many whips going into February. You see if this is cool enough to drink. Kind of is. I'm having, it's in a David's tea mug. They had this on clearance. And I saw my friend knitting at Tiffany's talk about hers. But this is some, it's called Tiwi. I've talked about it last year around this time. And this is Girl Gray. So the names of this company picks really funny names, which kind of make me laugh, even though I don't think I've ever said, other than referring to the name of this tea, I don't think I've ever been like, girl, that's not how I am, but it makes me smile. I like it. So it's kind of a creamy Earl Grey tea. kind of just have some little like crystal sugary bits in the bottom. And then let's see. So this is a brand new cast on, and I'm very excited to show it to you guys because I was thinking I wouldn't really have, like, I have a lot, if you watched last week, I have a lot of stuff done since then, but my friend Tanya asked me to be a guest on her knitting, after hours knitting group, and I was thinking, oh, you know, I'm showing all this stuff and then I won't have anything, you know, for people that were there for that, I won't have anything new to show, but I do have something new to show. So I cast on just this morning, and it's actually in a You So-and-so bag that I love. I put it in this because the yarn, I'll show you, the yarn is Lydia yarns, and it's in her Garden Party colorway. Let's see if I can get that to smash down so it's a little bit easier to see. This is her Squishy DK, and so I thought this bag kind of reminded me of some ladies at a garden party long ago. So this is the last of my Veera Valimaki cast-ons, and it's a DK weight hat, so really this will be done by the end of the month, super fast. And this is what the yarn looks like, all caked up, and it is so soft. It's just 100% superwash merino. It says on here, it says luxury yarn, but it's just a superwash merino, but it is a super soft superwash merino, and her speckling job is just beautiful. So I'm loving knitting on this. And I just started the brim this morning, so you can kind of see how, or you can definitely see how the yarn is knitting up. The speckles are very pretty. It's a white yarn with speckled background, and it's funny because now that I've been doing an entire month of Veera's patterns, you can kind of start to see things that a designer really likes to put in their patterns, which I've never done, like a whole bunch of one designer in a row. I guess it's kind of like reading through an author's collected work, and you can see kind of their style of writing or words that they like to use a lot or plot structures that they love to use. So I am noticing from knitting a whole bunch of her patterns that she really loves twisted rib, either like 1x1 twisted rib or 2x2 twisted rib, because this is twisted rib, and it was just amusing to me. I'm like, God, I would have never known that about her if I hadn't been doing this month-long kind of study of her patterns. So yeah, that is my, oh, and I love the inside of this bag as well. I'll show you, see if I can. It has a pocket and has little birds. It's very cute. Kind of springtimey project bag. And then next I will show you the thing that I have been being monogamous on because I just wanted it done, and then I kind of had to realize if I wanted to have something to show you that was visually different, that I would have to work on this less. So this got upgraded to a bigger bag. It's a bag from a friend who views a viewer of the podcast, and she's so sweet and sent me 3 bags, and she's just really kind. And this is the third one. I've used the other 2. And so I was using this one. It's just so soft and squishy. And then I love she puts pockets in hers too. I don't believe she has an Etsy shop. There's no label on it, and she didn't tell me when she sent it, but there's pockets, and the inside fabric is just so much fun. And here is my Be Kind shawl, and this is out of some yarn ink in the Luna colorway, as you heard me talk about lots. But honestly, this shawl is like knitting a featherweight cardigan, but I think I'm using even smaller needles than I did on my featherweight cardigan, so it's even more, you know, work. But in terms of yardage, it's probably a little bit more than a featherweight cardigan. So really, to have thought that I could knit a featherweight cardigan in 2 weeks, a fingering weight basically cardigan in 2 or 3 weeks, that was unrealistic of me. Thanksgiving time, November of 2015, I knit a featherweight in 28 days, which is really fast. But so that was pretty fast for me. There's no way that I would be able to get this whole thing done quicker than that. And it's still huge. And this is where I was really nervous about this falling off the needle. This is where I was, where'd it go? There. This is where I was last week, that little clip. And so I knit, I don't know, what is that, 3 or 4 inches? But it, you know, it just gets bigger and bigger. And right now, I mean, it's growing out this way quite a significant amount. So I can feel the home stretch, but I'm not quite there yet. I was doing the math to figure out how many rows a day I would have to do to finish it up. And I was like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that. So I don't know when this will be done, but I know that I am just enjoying it so much that I'm just going to keep working on it. And when it's done, because that's the good thing about like a yarn and project that you're really enjoying is it, you know, it's just enjoyable, the process of it, because I am more of a process knitter than a product knitter, to be honest. And so, yeah, I just was joking with some friends that this is going to have like a 10-foot wingspan, and it's going to be a shawl for an NBA, National Basketball Association player, like somebody who's 7 feet tall will be able to wear this, whereas myself, who is just over 5 feet tall, it's going to be like wrapped around me so many times that I could just have my eyes poking out because it's going to be so big. I'll have to see though when it's done how it actually does fit. Hopefully it will fit well. Just wrap it around a bunch and not look completely ludicrous, because that would be sad, because I absolutely love this yarn so much. The colorway just makes me so happy. As you probably saw with the Lydia Knits Garden Party, and then this, I really am just loving white yarn with a little bit of color on it. I think the white background really brings out the colors in the yarn very well. And then finally, this is almost done. I don't have it like in its bag right now, but it was living in my Playing with Needles bag that my friend Jen sent to me. It's a wonderful bag. I've been using it this week, and her drawstring cords are so nice. They're not ribbon. They're like, it's very sturdy, almost corduroy. Oh, that's wrong. I don't sew that much, so I don't know the technical term for what this is, but it's very sturdy. It feels very sturdy. But it's out of the bag right now because it's almost done. Honestly, if I had another 30 minutes before I podcasted, it would have been done. But I wanted to show it to you not done, because then next week I will have like a ton of FOs. But this is I don't know if I said, did I tell you what that Veera Valimaki pattern was with the garden party out of Lydia? That was the looking ahead, looking forward or looking ahead beanie by Veera Valimaki. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So this is the Fathom beanie by Veera Valimaki. And it is being knit out of some Unwind Yarn Company in her Gracie Pearl colorway, and this is her Expedition Sport. And I love this color because I thought in the skein it looked like it'd be perfect for this project, and then once I caked it up, I thought, oh, this may be a little bit too crazy. But it's knitting up, I think, pretty nice to where you can see the pattern. I took a picture on Instagram of the cable because I just love it. But I got this yarn and the Lydia Knits Garden Party colorway at Into the Wool last year, and I was already kind of knew what I was going to be doing for my theme for this year, because I get a joy out of planning so much, and so I already kind of knew. So I was purposely stash adding for these exact projects, so that felt kind of good. Like, I got this yarn for this exact project and I'm using it just a couple months later for its intended purpose, so it feels awesome. And these are some sexy knitter stitch markers. They came in her little like knitter's tool tins. And this hat has just been so much fun to do. I don't know if you can see the texture part of it. It's gorgeous. And I think that this Gracie Pearl colorway has just enough interest that it kind of gives the hat a depth to this textured pattern without detracting too much from the cable. So there's the cable part. I don't want to stretch it out too much because I just started the decreases and I don't want it to fall thin, but that's what it looks like. I absolutely love doing cables on hats because cables are fun. They're so much fun, and they're gorgeous. This cable actually reminds me of like a fairy tale mirror from Snow White, because the color is kind of this grayish with these undertones of all these beautiful things, but the mirror, it just looks like a mirror from a fairy tale to me, the way the cable curves around. And so this will be done today, I'm sure, because I'm excited to have something off the needles and finished, because I keep adding things on the needles every week. But I knew that that was going to happen because I knew that I was going to start off with the bigger projects at the beginning of the month and then go to the smaller ones, which I could definitely get done. But this has just been so much fun, and I'm knitting it on I changed it from these needles to marbles, DPNs, and I always do my crown decreases on I don't magic loop. I have a couple times, and it's not for me. You know, I would definitely say if you use DPNs and you hate them, maybe try magic loop, but I think if you find something that you love, don't force yourself to do something else just because a lot of other people do it. I know a lot of people love magic loop, but this girl loves her DPNs and they work great for me. So that is the Fathom beanie, and I'm very excited to have that finished. My daughter was helping me she was like pulling the yarn off and giving me little bits of it to work with. And I haven't worked any more on my Cloud Bay by Justina Lorkowska, and something happened this week that is making me not want to work on it. I debated if I was even gonna mention this on the podcast because I didn't want to. I was trying to think about what I would say, and then I was crying, and I thought, no, let's not even talk. But let's sing the song, Let Me Tell You About My Best Friend. I am knitting that sweater for my best friend, and she and I have basically grown up our whole lives together almost. We've known each other for definitely over half of our lives. I wasn't originally born in Texas, but I moved here beginning of elementary school, basically first grade, I don't remember. But so I knew her shortly after, moving to Texas. We, went to high school together, and, we've basically been living parallel lives because she'll get married, I'll get married, she'll have a kid, I'll have a kid, or I'll get married and she'll have a kid. It's just very similar, and I think we both have 2 kids. I had my son first, then she had her daughter, and then I had my daughter and she had her daughter. And so our kids are pretty similar, within a year or so of each other. And my kids call her aunt and her husband uncle because we're that close. She's more of a sister than, a friend. It's just, I love her. We say, love you, and we get off the phone and stuff like that. And I remember when we first got our licenses, and she has a little sister, and driving her little sister and her friends to the movies and picking them up because they didn't have cars and stuff like that. And there's just, when you've known somebody that long, they hold your history. I don't have anybody else that I can get together with and laugh about stuff that happened in high school. It's just, she's my best friend, and we have never been farther than a little short drive from each other. In high school, or early before we had cars, we were a bike ride away from each other, and then even as adults, we're just a little car ride away. 3 hours max, 3 to 4 hours depending on traffic. But she's so important to me in my life. And anyways, where all this is going, she had gone to Chile. You're probably wondering about the title of this episode, Can I Move to Chile? She had gone to Chile for Christmas because she has some family living there, and just to kind of visit them and things like that. And when she got back, we were texting and talking, and she texted me this week that they're moving to Chile. So that's, it's not, I can't drive to see her anymore. Well, I could, but I can't drive to see her anymore, and it's not like a little plane ride somewhere here in the States. I have to have a passport for that. I have to have, more money, because it's more money to fly international and all stuff like that. And I don't even know if my phone plan will let me talk to her. I talk to her a ton. So I don't even know. I haven't talked to her much this week though, because I couldn't talk to her without crying, and I didn't want to make her feel bad, because I know she texted me. She's like, I'm excited, but I'm nervous. And they for a while have been, her husband works a ton, and she really wanted him out of the corporate America lifestyle to kind of have more time with the family and have just a more laid back lifestyle, to kind of get out of that whole make money so we can spend more money, and to make more money to spend more, like that whole ideal. She wanted him out of that, and I can understand, because my husband works crazy hours too, so I definitely get the missing spending time with them. But I'm going to miss her like crazy, and I'm already thinking about, oh well, it's opposite, and so when it's summer here and miserably hot in Texas, I can go to Chile and take the kids, and we can just spend the summers down there, and my Spanish will become fluent. I'm pretty good at understanding. I get nervous when I have to speak it, and I can read it fairly well. But if I'm down there for 3 months out of the year, my Spanish will be fluent, and my kids' Spanish will be fluent, and we'll be out of the heat. And so I was talking about downsizing our house to a lot smaller house, so we could maybe have a tiny little apartment there or something for in the summertime. I don't know. We're making plans, just because I'm gonna miss her a ton. And my mom came over this weekend, and I was telling my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, sweetie," and so you didn't care about all that. But my best friend's amazing, and I'm so lucky to have her. I don't deserve as amazing a friend as she is. She's just the most wonderful person I could have ever been. I have so many friends that I'm really blessed to have, because I'm a little bit sporadic and I'm not great at remembering everything, but I have people that love me who are amazing, and I just feel so blessed. So anyways, all that to say, if I don't finish her cloud-based sweater, she can't leave, right? Right, she can't leave without her sweater. So I think that's why I'm like, I don't want to knit on this. And the other part of me is, well, it's coming out of winter here in Texas, but she's going to be going into winter there. So if I get it done later, it'll be fine. It could be a birthday present, because her birthday's at the end of May. But we were like each other's maid of honor at our wedding, and there for all the wedding and baby, everything. So yeah, I hadn't planned to tell you all that, but now you know. So, okay, so on to happier note and spinning. So I am doing Stephen West next month, like I was saying, and my first thing I'm going to cast on for him, and I've been saving up my handspun for this forever, is an enchanted mesa. I want to do a handspun enchanted mesa, because I feel that pattern really lends itself well to handspun. I've seen a few people, like Emily Chain of Fools has done one, and I just really like the way that they look. So I was starting to go into my little handspun cabinet and try to look for yarns for this, and then I was thinking, oh, I haven't spun enough, I don't have enough. But as I pulled everything out, I was like, yes, not only do I have enough for a handspun sweater, I have enough for 2 handspun sweaters that go in color. And also I was thinking, why on earth do I have so much purple and orange handspun? So let me show you. Purple and orange, purple and orange, purple and orange, purple and orange and blue. I had no idea that I gravitated this much towards purple and orange. No idea, like at all. This one kind of has some yellow in it, and this one's more autumnal, but really they're very similar. I didn't get 8 ounces of any of these. These are all different braids that I got at different times that are just extremely similar. So like, I don't know how to show you this, but this could be a sweater. Because I could have the ones that are very similar, and then this could be like, this is a brown handspun that I did. This could be like cuffs, the ribbing and things. And then this could be the pops up in the top of the Enchanted Mesa. But I think that for me personally, I think this might be too crazy of a full body sweater for me. Might make a nice cardigan or something where the front was open and it wasn't so crazy all around. You could wear like an open cardigan with like a nice brown or even a yellow t-shirt underneath, so it kind of calm down the craziness. So I'm not super leaning towards this, but it just was very surprising to me that I have a sweater's worth of purple and orange handspun, because this is mostly all of my handspun except for a couple random skeins. And then this is what I'm leaning more towards. I have a ton of this, a ton of neutrals, which I love these colors. So very, you know, neutrally handspun, kind of in our blue favorite colors, blue, green, purple, and gray tones. And I don't really know how to show these either, and I just lost one on the floor, so that one can't be shown. Oh. But there's those. So again, I was thinking that the lighter colored ones, like the one they dropped on the floor, and this one could be at the upper part of the sweater, and then it could transition down into this or this, and they could be the cuffs and the ribbing for that. And then this might also go in there if I need, it's still kind of neutral but a little brighter, or maybe it could go as the pops of color. But so the Enchanted Mesa has these short rows at the top that kind of create interest, and then you do the body. So I was thinking it might be fun to have more neutral for the whole sweater, and then do these pops up at the top. So kind of bring your attention up towards the top of the sweater. And these are just little hobbly-hoy batlings that I did, and it was just a little bag, so I don't have enough for even a hat, I don't think, or anything, but it would kind of be perfect for this because it would use up the handspun, but then it would have it to where there was, you know, still enough left to do this, but it would just be great for that, using up little bits. And here's another one. So I don't know how well those would go together. I might just go for it because it's going to be fun, and I'm so excited. Like, this is going to use up a ton of handspun, and I think it's going to be pretty, especially the more neutral one. Now, this, I probably will make a orange and purple handspun cardigan at some time, but not this next month, because starting 2 Enchanted Mesa sweaters would just be bonkers for me with all the whips I already have. But yeah, this is going to happen this week. I have to plan out all the colors and map it all out for my handspun sweater that I've been planning for forever. I have a certain color palette that I like, and so I would spin it up and then put it in my handspun cabinet, and I knew that eventually I wanted to do a sweater with it, so I just kind of kept stockpiling handspun. And now I get to finally use it, and it's going to be such a pretty drapey sweater, because these all have a tiny bit of either silk or bamboo or something that is going to make it have a lovely drape. So all the handspun. But yeah, that is all there is for that. And then I drew a winner for the Stephen West pattern giveaway for the designer spotlight for next month. So if you'd like to join along. And the winner was post number 22, Sikuna, Sikuna, and she wanted a penguono. I don't know if I'm pronouncing, I can't remember the pattern name right now, but something like that. It's a very cool kind of boxy shaped cardigan. I don't know quite how to describe it, which is typical of some of Stephen West patterns. But yeah, so I will be gifting that to you. And then let's see, for enabling, I was hoping to have the sock yarn that I was getting my husband for Valentine's Day to show you, but it hasn't arrived yet. One, because the one is coming from the UK. I kind of should have realized that when I ordered it because I had to do a money conversion. And then the other one, I didn't know until I had bought it, and it said that it wouldn't be here till a certain time because I didn't see on it that it was a custom order or anything. But after I'd bought it, it said that it would be here in 4 to 6 weeks. So it must have been a custom order, and it just didn't say or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited, and he won't care that they're not here on Valentine's Day because I'll still have to knit them into socks. But I will show those to you when they arrive. And then I also asked my husband for some yarn for Valentine's Day, because I have a couple projects that I'm going to be knitting that I don't have yarn for. So that will hopefully be something I can show you in February. And as far as enabling for the yarn shop goes, Open Skies Yarn, there's a bunch of stuff up in there if you want to treat yourself to anything this week. I'm going to start trying to dye more of the Kate Winslet yarns this week. I've been just, working really hard on the club that's going out Monday or Tuesday, I believe. And I'm spoiling the club people rotten. I'm having so much fun. It feels like sending a friend a birthday present package, and I'm so excited for all the little extras and stuff that have gone into it. One of them is incredibly detail handmade awesomeness. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing this week. And then finally, for the book review. So I talked about how I have been wanting to read more poetry this year, and because I want to read 100 books. And so I love poetry so much. I just feel that sometimes and this book is a perfect example of that. Sometimes the subject matter that would be too difficult, for me at least, in an entire novel, sometimes you can really get into that feeling through poetry, but it's not so immersive that you can't step out of it and be okay. So this is called Bough Down, and it is by Karen Green, and it is basically a woman's journey through grief. And Karen Green, her husband committed suicide, and I don't know who her husband, apparently he was famous. I don't know who he is, because there's one part in a poem in here where she writes that people now feel it's okay to write to her and say, nobody knew you before your husband committed suicide, and which is just terrible. I don't know why people feel that it's okay because you kind of watch somebody or know of somebody to say things like that, because you don't really know them and you're not their friend. So it's just like, why would you say that? But this book kind of deals with her grief. And so, I don't think you can really even say much about how somebody deals with their own grief, but it has poems, and then it has, see if I can find, it has little just clippings of paper that I'm not sure what they had to do with the story. They have different words on them. Some of them you do know what they have to do with the story, and others of them you just don't really know. And so I'll kind of read a bit of one, and there is some language in some of these poems, not any in the one I'm going to be reading you, I don't believe, and if there is, I'll skip over it. But this is one of the things that people say to you, like when someone has passed, at least he's in peace now, he will forever live in your heart, all these different things that people say. And so she kind of took a poem based off, at least he. I want him, I don't know if people would consider this a bad word, so I want him mad at politicians, ill at ease, trying to manipulate me into doing favors for him I would do anyway. I want him looking for his glasses, trying not to come here, doing the dumb verb of journaling, getting spinach caught between canine and gum, berating me, or my not staying mum. I don't want him at peace. So like people saying, at least he's at peace. And I did kind of skip over a couple words in there because I don't want to, you never know how, like what words people might take. So there aren't any words in there that I would have considered, but there are in some of the other poems. But yeah, it's just kind of different little things in it. And here's another picture one. There's this one thing that I don't remember. I meant to mark it down so I could read it to you, but I don't remember. But there's this one where she describes migraines, and she does it in the most amazing way. She just talks about there's this bell and it's ringing, and it's the bell that is like caused thousands of people to have migraines. And I absolutely love how she described it. I can't find it right now, but her writing is pretty good, and I enjoyed, you know, the kind of sarcasm of it, and she just really explores grief in all the different ways that you would feel. You know, when you would feel sad, when you would feel disillusioned, when you would feel angry, when you would feel just kind of sarcastic at the entire thing. And so, yeah, this would probably be a book that some people could not read just because the subject matter, like, I don't think my husband would be able to read this just because, as I've talked about in the podcast before, I've had depression, so it might make him feel like, be saddened at like where she was because of him having worried about me or something in the past. But so yeah, this is called Bough Down, and it's by Karen Green. And you know, I think poetry is a wonderful way to kind of delve into the depths of human emotion for short little times where, you know, it's very easy, like you're supercharged with emotion, to just pour it out into this little bit on a page, and it just really comes across very impactful. Whereas, you know, in a novel, it's kind of hard to sustain that emotion. I know some authors can do it really well, but I love poetry, and if you don't, then I'm sorry. So next week will not be a poetry book, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that. So it's been on my list. I get Goodreads, the site that for readers has these best poems or best poetry authors of the year, and I always go through there when they're doing the awards and pick different ones that sound interesting to me and add them to my Goodreads list. So I'm working this year at kind of reading through those. So that's everything I have for you guys this week. And I'm excited to get the clubs mailed off for the first month, which is the Russian, you know, traveling to Russia and all kinds of goodies and stuff in that club. And I am going to, you know, get some other stuff mailed out in the post this week if you're expecting a package from me, because the post office has not been kind to me. I'll go there and either A, I'll wait in line forever and then it's time for me to leave to pick up my daughter, or I went there and their, you know, credit card, debit card machine is not working and they're only taking cash at that moment, which I didn't have. So I'm going to go next time prepared with time to spend an hour waiting in line if I have to, and have cash just in case I need to, because I'm getting stuff mailed. The post office will not defeat me. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.